horror elements. Viewer discretion advised. We toned it down, but the Vatican sends a special investigation team to an ancient monastery in Romania, consisting of a priest specializing in dealing with paranormal activity and a nun who hasn't taken her vows yet and no experience with paranormal activity whatsoever. It's not clear why she was selected for this investigation, but they are certain the Vatican always have a reason for what they do. They are about to find out firsthand. 1952, Romania. The ancient walls of Carta Monastery hold a chilling secret. Two nuns, Sister Victoria and her senior companion, venture down a dimly lit hallway towards a forbidden door inscribed with the unsettling words, "God ends here." The elder nun bravely enters in search of a crucial artifact, leaving Sister Victoria praying for guidance. But their mission takes a horrifying turn. Moments later, the elder nun emerges, visibly injured and terrified, urging Victoria to flee. A malevolent presence, manifest in an unsettling form, materializes, forcing Victoria to seek a desperate escape. Overwhelmed by fear and seeking solace, she utters a final prayer. Tragedy strikes. Sometime later, villager Frenchie discovers Sister Victoria's body. News reaches the Vatican, who, considering the event a serious breach of their religious vows, assign Father Anthony Burke to investigate. Joining him is Sister Irene, a young novitiate known for her unique ability to perceive hidden things and discern truth from deception. Although initially presented as familiar with the region, a discrepancy later arises when Sister Irene admits to Father Burke that she has never been to this area before, raising questions about her selection for the mission. Together, they travel to the monastery with Frenchie as their guide. On the journey, Frenchie engages in playful banter with Sister Irene, hinting at potential flirtation until he discovers she is a nun. He expresses relief upon learning she hasn't yet taken her final vows. As they travel, Frenchie shares local superstitions about the Abbey. He reveals that locals spit when the Abbey is mentioned, hinting at their fear and mistrust of the place. Additionally, he recounts how the Abbey was scarred by bombing raids during the war, adding to the sense of desolation and potential secrets it holds. Upon arrival at the Abbey grounds, Frenchie leads Father Burke and Sister Irene to the ice house, a cold storage room where he usually leaves supplies for the nuns. He mentions an arrangement between the Abbey and the village, and that this was the first time in 2 years he actually saw someone there. Inside, a disturbing discovery awaits them. Sister Victoria's body exhibits an unexplained change while Frenchie recalls leaving it lying down. It now sits in an upright position. A key is also found clutched in its hand. Following a proper burial for Victoria, Burke and Irene uncover fresh signs of something amiss near the ice house, suggesting a deeper mystery at hand. Entering the Abbey itself brings another unsettling encounter. As they walk through the main hall, Sister Irene senses something amiss and notices a silent figure seated ominously on a chair. Startled, they realize it's the abbess, who had been hidden from their initial view. The abbess informs them of a vow of silence observed for Victoria until the next day and allows them to lodge in the convent. Father Burke and Sister Irene retire to their designated quarters while Frenchie departs. On his walk back, venturing through the dark woods, Frenchie encounters a chilling apparition. A figure resembling Sister Victoria appears, but a sense of unease lingers around its presence. Driven by his initial confusion, Frenchie follows the figure, only to face a terrifying encounter. A malevolent presence, shrouded in darkness, manifests and attacks him. In his struggle for survival, Frenchie finds a cross on the ground, offering a sense of solace amidst the chaos. He manages to escape, clutching the cross as a symbol of hope. Meanwhile, Sister Irene confides in Father Burke about a series of unsettling visions she experienced in her childhood. These occurrences, though disturbing, all concluded with the haunting phrase "Mary points the way." In response, Burke reflects on a past experience that continues to weigh heavily on him. He recounts an incident in France where he was called upon to perform an exorcism on a young boy named Daniel August Maturo, who had fallen prey to a malevolent entity. Despite Burke's fervent efforts, the attempt tragically resulted in Daniel's passing. This event has left Burke burdened with guilt and self-doubt. Later that night, an unsettling melody awakens Father Burke. Drawn by the eerie music, he ventures into the woods, where a chilling apparition awaits. A distorted reflection of Daniel, warped by a sinister force, manifests before him. This horrifying vision transforms into a physical threat, shoving Burke into a coffin before an unseen force buries him alive. Trapped inside the coffin, Burke finds a single object, a ringing bell, offering a faint glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. Meanwhile, Sister Irene awakens with a sense of unease. Wandering into the dimly lit chapel, she encounters a terrifying reflection. Valak, the malevolent entity, appears in the mirror, reaching out with malicious intent. Seeking refuge, Irene flees into the night, guided by the sound of the bell ringing. The sound intensifies, emanating from numerous graves surrounding the Abbey. With renewed determination, Irene locates Burke's buried coffin and begins digging him out. Just as she nears him, a disturbing encounter unfolds. Eerie hands emerge from the ground, attempting to drag Burke back into the darkness. However, Irene demonstrates unwavering courage, successfully pulling him out of his temporary grave. Examining the coffin's interior, they discover a collection of books, their pages filled with arcane symbols and cryptic knowledge. Daybreak arrives, casting an uneasy light upon the Abbey. Father Burke and Sister Irene approach the entrance, but only Irene is granted access. Inside, she meets Sister Oana Ingrid Bisu, who reveals a chilling truth: the nuns maintain a constant vigil, praying in shifts to keep a malevolent force at bay. Oana listens intently as Irene recounts her encounter with Valak. With a deep breath, Oana delves into the entity's history. The Abbey, erected during the Dark Ages, was built upon the tainted desires of a duke obsessed with the occult. He sought to open a gateway to unleash Valak, but his power play was halted by the intervention of the church. The duke perished before his ritual could be completed, leaving Valak trapped within the Abbey. An artifact, imbued with the sacred blood of Christ, served as the key to his confinement. Oana explains that the nuns have become guardians, burdened with the responsibility of maintaining the seal and containing the evil within. However, this fragile balance was shattered by the horrors of World War II. Bombs from the conflict scarred the land surrounding the Abbey, inadvertently weakening the seal and allowing Valak to partially break free. Oana reveals the chilling detail that Valak assumes the form of a nun to manipulate their trust and exploit their vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, Father Burke delves into his research, uncovering information about the malevolent entity and learning its name, Valak. Outside the Abbey walls, Frenchie finds himself seeking solace in a local tavern. He overhears a conversation about a young girl, tragically driven to take her own life. The details of the incident, particularly the mention of a horrifying vision, spark a connection in Frenchie's mind. He suspects that the evil emanating from the Abbey might be spreading beyond its confines, affecting the surrounding villages. Driven by urgency, Frenchie reveals his recent visit to the Abbey with Burke and Irene to the tavern owner. However, the revelation only serves to fuel the man's fear. He warns Frenchie that associating with those involved could mark them as the next targets of the evil force. Back at the Abbey, Father Burke's attempts to gain entry prove futile. He diligently studies the map, searching for an alternative route. However, the abbess appears once more, her demeanor radiating an unsettling shift. She declares that Burke's search will be fruitless, and that Irene is beyond saving. A horrifying transformation takes hold of the abbess. Her body contorts, revealing a demonic entity beneath the veil of her persona. As Burke attempts to question her about the key found with Victoria, the demon lunges at him. A desperate struggle ensues, culminating in Burke tearing off a part of the demonic entity's form, forcing it to retreat and leaving him shaken and wounded. A chilling vision of Valak, the demonic Nun, jolts Sister Irene awake. The haunting phrase Mary points the way echoes in her mind, leaving a lingering unease. Following what sounds like Sister Oana's voice, Irene ventures outside her room, drawn deeper into the Abbey's darkened corridors. Suddenly, a terrifying presence engulfs her. The demon nun manifests before her, its grotesque form paralyzing her with fear. She turns to flee with darkness following her. She's grabbed by a nun who tells her to meet at the chapel to pray. Only prayers will get us through the night. Meanwhile, Father Burke, haunted by demonic visions of Daniel, seeks refuge in the ice house. However, a monstrous entity emerges from the frozen depths, launching a terrifying attack. Just as despair threatens to consume him, Frenchie arrives in time and knocks down the entity with a swift blow. In the dimly lit chapel, Irene stumbles upon the lifeless form of Sister Oana, her face contorted in a silent scream. Grief threatens to engulf her, but a flicker of light draws her attention. Several nuns appear, their faces etched with concern, and they beckon her to join them in prayer. As their voices rise in unison, the air crackles with an unseen force. The nuns around them are flung back like rag dolls, leaving Irene alone and exposed. A searing pain engulfs her as a pentagram burns into her back. Yet through the agony, she refuses to yield. Faith fuels her resolve, and she continues to pray, her voice unwavering. Suddenly, a commotion erupts outside the chapel. Father Burke and Frenchie arrive, drawn by the sounds of struggle. She tries explaining that she and the nuns had been praying to keep the evil contained, but a horrifying truth dawned on Irene. The nuns she prayed with, the comfort they offered, all illusions conjured by the evil force. The Sister Oana lying before them is no longer lifeless, but reanimated by the entity, its eyes burning with malevolent intent. Burke attempts an exorcism, invoking the power of his faith, but the entity remains unfazed, its hold on the vessel too strong. The power of Christ compels you to like and subscribe to this channel. With a heavy heart, Frenchie realizes brute force is their only option. He aims his weapon and eliminates the possessed body. Grief and exhaustion threaten to overwhelm them, but Irene perseveres. She reveals a truth that chills them to the bone. Valak, the demonic entity, needs a human host to enter their world. The weight of this revelation hangs heavy in the air. They finally understand Victoria's sacrifice, not an act of despair, but a desperate attempt to prevent Valak from possessing her and unleashing its evil upon the world. Irene now embraces her visions as gift of God and decides to take her vows. Guiding them on their perilous journey is the cryptic phrase Mary points the way. As they navigate the labyrinthine tunnels, Father Burke notices a subtle detail: the statue of the Virgin Mary raises its hand, not in a traditional prayer gesture, but pointing distinctly towards a hidden passage. Hope flickers in their eyes. Following the statue's guidance, they unlock a concealed chamber using Victoria's key. Inside, they discover a small vial, its contents glowing with an ethereal light. Elated, they realize they have found the sacred blood of Christ. Armed with the vial of sacred blood, Irene, Burke, and Frenchie step into the chamber marked "God ends here." a sense of dread settling over them. Seeking to cover more ground, they decide to split up. Irene finds herself drawn to a dimly lit room. Inside, she's confronted by a group of nuns, their faces obscured by dark veils. A chilling unease washes over her as they reach out with unnatural stillness. The tension shatters as Frenchie bursts into the room, alerted by a disturbance. He finds Irene possessed, her body contorting under an unseen force. Acting quickly, Frenchie gets blood on his hands from the vial and touches the holy blood to her face, releasing her from Valak's possession. Frantic, Frenchie watches as Valak shifts its focus to him. A sickening thud echoes as Irene is flung through the air, landing with a splash in a nearby pool. Panic surges in her chest as water fills her lungs. Valak surfaces from the murky depths, its inhuman form contorting into a predatory grin. It lunges towards Irene, intent on silencing her forever. Just then, Burke bursts into the chamber, his voice rising in a desperate chant. But before he can finish, a powerful blow sends him flying across the room, his pleas cut short. Submerged in the murky depths, Irene fights for survival. With her last ounce of strength, she manages to bring the broken vial to her lips, the taste of the holy blood filling her mouth. Summoning a final burst of defiance, she thrusts the vial above the water. Valak emerges, its eyes fixated on the shattered vial. A cruel smirk twists its monstrous face, savoring its perceived victory. With a brutal grip, it drags Irene from the water, ready to extinguish her life. In this desperate moment, Irene recalls a local superstition spitting to ward off evil. With a surge of defiant faith, she spits the remaining blood in Valak's face. The holy blood, amplified by her unwavering spirit, erupts in a blinding light. Valak recoils in agony, its form writhing and contorting against the sacred essence. With a final deafening roar, the demon is banished, the rift to hell slamming shut behind it. After the confrontation, Irene lay unconscious, her breathing shallow and irregular. Fear gnawed at Frenchie as he knelt beside her. With trembling hands, he tilted her head back and checked her airway. He knew he had to act fast. "Forgive me, sister," he whispered, his voice laced with desperation. He gently pinched her nostrils closed, took a deep breath, and pressed his lips to hers, forcing air into her lungs. Irene gasped, her eyes fluttering open. Confusion, and then understanding clouded her gaze. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely a whisper. Frenchie fumbled for words. "They call it the kiss of life. It's not what you think, it's just..." Irene cut him off with a gentle smile. "You saved my life, Frenchie. Thank you." We learn that Frenchie's real name is Maurice. As the trio leave the Abbey, we see an upside-down cross burned into the back of Maurice's neck. 20 years later, we see a scene from The Conjuring showing Carolyn Perrin watching as Edward and Lorraine Warren conduct a seminar, sharing their experiences dealing with the possessed Maurice, who tragically ended his own life. Lorraine is seen attacked by Frenchie, resulting in her being haunted by unsettling visions, explored in the movie The Conjuring. Let us know if you want us to continue with more movies in the Conjuring universe. Check out another video popping on your screen now.